Hello everyone, my name is Jenna Anand and I'm an academic support counselor on the Rochester campus. This presentation today is to outline financial literacy for first-time community college students. If you have any questions as we go through this presentation, please note them and at the end post them to the discussion board. I'll immediately answer any academic advising questions and I'll relay all specific financial aid questions to that department. In short, if you have a question, post it to the discussion board, I'll respond. I have a number of tales to tell you today as we begin our conversation about course and major selection, financial aid, student loans, and the importance of making smart, informed decisions. First, we have a tale of one student. Kathy is a student who financed her own education with grants and loans. She began her degree in fall of 2008, taking 2 classes a semester. Now, why someone goes part-time is usually a personal decision for them. Sometimes they need to be able to work full-time. Other times they're taking care of family members, children, or an elderly parent, and they have limited availability. And other times they just know that they have a limited attention span and this is what they can handle right now. So it's a personal decision on most fronts. That being said, regardless of why you do it, it is 100% going to extend how long it takes you to finish your degree. On average, it takes people going full-time about 5 semesters, taking about 15 credits to complete their degree. If you're only taking 2 classes a semester, it's going to extend it to at least 4 years to finish your degree. So that being said, for Kathy, whatever reason she had initially to go part-time, she went for 4 years, and then she decided to change her major in 2012. Maybe she went from a science field to a arts field or vice versa. Whatever that was, it was going to extend her degree a significant amount of time. After about a semester or so of that, she decided to leave for 2 years to pursue another option. Maybe she had kids. Maybe she was offered a full-time job with benefits and she just could not turn that down. Maybe she was getting a raise. Maybe something significant happened in her life. As many of you are aware, you have little control over some of those outside forces that impact your life. Whatever the reason, she left for 2 years. And she came back in 2015. And bully for her, it is hard sometimes to get back here, but awesome job she did. And maybe though when she came back, her degree changed. Whenever you leave for more than a year, you have to reapply to your major. If your major changed while you were gone, you were required to complete the new degree. So maybe her degree changed while she was out. Still, she persevered and she graduated in 2017 with an associate's degree in accounting, which is awesome. 9 years later, she finished her degree. Fantastic. But how much money did it cost her to do this? It cost Kathy a total of $58,857 for her associate's degree in accounting. That is a lot of money. She maxed out her federal subsidized and unsubsidized loans at $45,000. We'll get to what that means in a minute. And then she took out additional private loans to the tune of $13,000, bringing her total to almost $60,000. Kathy's been quoted as saying, "If only someone had taken the time to explain what it truly meant to borrow now and pay later, I may not have ended up with a $60,000 tuition bill for a $15,000 education." Now on that $15,000 education, how much should your degree, your associate's degree, cost you? If you're an in-state student, it's going to be about $232 a credit. If you're taking about 12 credits a semester, for tuition and fees, it's going to be about $27.84. On average, we estimate that to be about $800 a class. We say about $200 per class for books. And that brings the total to about $3,600. Now, this does not include possible lab or material fees. Lab sciences, computer classes, some art classes, they have lab fees on top of that. If you're doing anything technical, there would be an additional materials fees in those classes. So it starts, the lowest it would be $36 for a semester. And on that note, we also recommend that you take about 15 credits a semester to graduate in 2 years. So your bill could be a little bit higher based on that recommendation. So that's about how much it should cost to go to school at Great Bay Community College. Now that you're aware your tuition for your entire associate's degree will be a little more than $15,000, you're thinking, how am I going to pay for this? Many of you have already completed your FAFSA, your free application for federal student aid. When you completed that FAFSA, you automatically applied for all of these types of financial aid listed here. They're broken down into about 4 categories. One would be grants. Those include your Pell Grant and your Supplemental Educational Opportunity Grant. These you do not need to pay back. They're need-based grants, gifts of money, for you to use towards your education. Next would be scholarships. When you complete your FAFSA, you apply for many different types of scholarships. Some of those are need-based, like the Unique Scholarship. Others, like the Distinguished Leaders Scholarship, are also merit-based, so you need to maintain a good GPA in order to receive them. Scholarships you don't need to pay back either. Next on the list are just direct student loans. These you do need to pay back. They're issued either as subsidized loans or unsubsidized loans, and we'll get more into that in a second, but you do need to pay these back. Finally is work study. Federal work study is sometimes misunderstood. What happens is you get an on-campus job, Great Bay Community College pays $10 an hour, and while you work, you earn checks. Those checks come directly to you, and you can use them however you would, just like any job off campus. You can use them for gas, you can use them for books, you can go to Chipotle if you want to. It's your money. It's just another way of funding your education. Now, you can, as of October 1st, so today, complete your 2018-2019 FAFSA. That's for next year. Next year for financial aid begins in the summer. So if you were thinking about taking summer classes, you were thinking about going to school next fall or spring, you can complete your FAFSA now. Even if you weren't thinking of coming to Great Bay, if you were thinking about going to UNH or another school, you can complete your FAFSA now. It uses your 2016 taxes. You need to apply for FAFSA every single solitary year. Any year you want to go to school, you need to complete a FAFSA. So it's good to get into the habit of it now. So go home today and think about doing your FAFSA. Maybe you'll do it. That's awesome. But you should at least think about it. Pick a date, put it on the calendar, meet with your parents, and complete your FAFSA. Speaking of parents, your financial aid award package is going to differ depending on whether the federal government considers you a dependent student or an independent student. The basis of this terminology is entirely on your perceived relationship to your parents. Are you dependent on your parents or are you independent from your parents? Now, there are many factors at play, but the biggest one for the federal government is your age. If you're 24 or over, you're independent. If you're under 24, you're dependent. We are aware at Great Bay that this milestone of 24 years is totally arbitrary. Being 24 does not make you any more responsible than someone under 24. I have met 40-year-olds who still live with their parents, and I've met 18-year-olds who live completely on their own, paying their own way. Age does not always correlate with personal financial obligation. However, the federal government makes the rules, and they picked this to base everything off of. There are some different loopholes and some other ways to get through and around, and if you're curious about your particular situation, contact financial aid. Now, looking at these two awards, dependent versus independent, the only thing that really differs is your access to federal loans. As an independent student, you're going to have access to nearly double the amount of loans as the dependent student. The federal government, again, it assumes that the typical independent student will need to finance lost income and pay bills like rent, food, etc. It's a loan, so that independent student will need to pay it back. It's temporary. The loans need to be repaid. That being said, if you look at the rest of the award, everything else is the same. The grants are the same, the scholarship's the same, the work study's the same. It's the same. So taking a gander at that dependent student, and you add up all the columns, it's over $16,000 per year that you're being offered. That's a lot of money. That's enough to fund the entirety of your associate's degree, and it's being offered to the student in year 1. If you're going part-time, you might not have access to every single dollar or grant of the scholarships offered to you, but you are eligible to take all those loans. It's a lot of money, and you can take whatever you want to take. For the independent student, that's almost $10,000 in loans. And how that works is once that money comes in, it comes in about mid-semester. First, your tuition is paid with it, and then the rest, anything left over up and above the cost of tuition, is given to you in a check or direct deposit. There are caps on this money, though. It's not an infinite bucket of cash. Just because you get it one year doesn't always mean that you're going to get it the following year. There's a limit to it. It's not infinite. So while it might feel awesome to say, yeah, I'm going to take it all, you have to be aware that at some point that money will run out and you will not have money to pay for school. There are lifetime loan limits. If you're a dependent student, these will max out at $31,000 for your bachelor's degree. And if you're an independent student, you can see it's $57,500. You might have noticed I said bachelor's degree and not associate's. Your entire undergrad program has the same pot of money available to it, and the loans do max out. So while $31,000 is more than plenty for your associates, you'll have a hard time finding a bachelor's degree less than that. The key is to save as much of your federal loans as possible for your bachelor's degree while you're getting your associates. You can also see that it breaks out your subsidized and your unsubsidized loans. What's the difference? The federal government will pay the interest on the subsidized loans, but the unsub loans will accrue interest while you're in school. The subsidized loans are better than the unsubsidized loans, in short. And you can also see that in your second year of college, once you hit that 32 credit mark, you are eligible for more subsidized loans. The government will give you more money and pay the interest while you're in school in your second year. And this is because in your second year, you are arguably a better investment. You succeeded your first year. Hooray, you've successfully completed 32 credits. And now they can give you a little bit more money and feel comfortable that you will be successful in your pursuits. The reason we're doing this presentation is to educate you on how to reduce your college loan debt. We want you to go to school. We want you to get an education and be successful, graduate, and go on and do all the amazing things that you're going to do with your life. But we want to make sure you're doing that with the smallest amount of debt possible. So next, we'll go through these students' academic careers and see how the decisions they made while they're in school impacted their financial future. Here we have those 3 students. We're going to go from right to left through the academic paths these students took and the financial impact of those decisions. Let's start with Kayla. Kayla only took half a course load, 6 credits per semester. She didn't have a really strong reason for this decision. Her parents told her she had to enroll in college to continue living with them, so she needed to appease them while also making sure she had enough time to spend with her boyfriend and at her part-time job at Aroma Joe's. She graduated in 4 years with 3 summer semesters. She took out $24,000 in loans, and she'll receive a bill for $250 a month for 10 years. At the end of her payment, she would have paid a little over $6,000 extra in interest, on top of her tuition. Next is Tyler. He could commit to a more rigorous load than Kayla, but he still couldn't handle the full-time load. He works full-time, but he wanted to complete his degree as soon as possible, so he needed to find the happy medium between his time commitments. So he opted to do a 3/4 load each semester, 9 credits. He graduated in 3 years with 2 summer semesters. He signed for $18,000 in loans and will be looking at about $200 a month for 10 years. At the end of his repayment, he'll have about $5,000 in interest. Finally, we have Hannah. She could do a full course load, 15 credits. She graduated in 2 years with 1 semester in the summer. She took out about $15,000 in college loans and will have repayments of about $150 a month for 10 years. At the end of those 10 years, she would have paid roughly $4,000 in interest. Hannah obviously borrowed the least, She still has $16,000 to bring over to UNH for her bachelor's degree. And now it only took Tyler one more year to graduate, but he borrowed 38% more than Hannah. He has $3,000 less to bring to UNH. And Kayla's in the worst situation. She took 4 years to graduate. She has the same degree as Hannah. She went to the same college as Hannah, but she has 84% more debt than Hannah. It's all in the timing when it comes to compound interest loans, and student loans are compound interest loans. Kayla only has $7,000 left of her lifetime loan limit to bring to UNH. That's not even going to pay for her semester. She's really put herself in a rough financial situation. See, if you have to go to part-time, if it's the only way you can go to college, it's totally fine. We aren't trying to say that this is a negative option and you should never do it. You do need to understand that in the scheme of things, though, the more loans you take out, the more money you'll have to pay back later. And it's not because it's just dollar for dollar, that's obvious. But interest accrues on a daily basis, and it's proportional to the amount of money you take. So if you take more money, you'll have more interest, you'll have even more money that you owe. It's not simple, but that's how it works. If you go full-time, because you're getting through the degree at a faster pace, the interest cannot accrue as quickly on that money, so you're paying less. And on top of that, studies show that in general, full-time students have a higher rate of graduation because there is less time for outside forces to interfere with their education. Forces like self-doubt. You know, if you get a cancer, or you get in a car accident, a family member has those things happen to them, or financially you just can't afford to go to school anymore. You're more likely to graduate if you go full-time. So between going full-time and being smart about the loans you take out, you can severely reduce your college loan debt and have the maximum amount of money available in your lifetime limit pot to bring over to your 4-year university. The bottom line is this: borrow only what you need for tuition, fees, and books. Try to avoid borrowing for other expenses. Once in a while, I'll get a student who'll ask me, well, can I borrow a little extra to get a laptop? You can totally do that. It's considered a legitimate educational expense. It's really hard to be successful in college without a computer at home. That being said, if you can save money in another way and buy that computer outright, it would preserve your lifetime loans for your future education. So if you need it, of course, take it, use it. Just be smart. Time is money. Interest accrues daily on unsubsidized student loans. From the second you start classes to the moment the last penny is paid off on your college loans, sometimes 10 years later, that money is accruing interest. If you're curious as to the APR rate on your loan, check with financial aid. The rates vary from year to year. It depends on the decisions of the elected government at the time that you accepted the loan, but check with them if you have any questions about it. And be aware that it's accruing from the second that you start school till it's paid off. Finally, full-time enrollment when financed with student loans is usually less costly than part-time enrollment. If you're using grants, if you're using scholarships, or if you're paying out of pocket, the amount of time it takes you to graduate is going to have a minimal impact on the overall cost of your degree. It's going to be basically the same. But when you're using loans, because of that accrual of interest, it's going to be more expensive. It's when you're accepting the loans that you need to be mindful of your timeline. Now this slide's gained some interest in recent semesters. What are other strategies to pay for college? One suggestion is making a super budget. This is where you really pare down on your frivolous expenses and you save that money away to apply it to your tuition in the future. Now, it might be astronomically impossible to fathom forking out thousands of dollars to pay for a semester of college outright. That might be totally out of the realm of possibility. But paying for just one class might be more realistic. Every loan dollar you can save now will help you out later. So what if we cut coffee out of the old budget? There's this latte effect, if you will, this idea that we're entitled to purchase a cup of coffee every day. You rationalize, oh, it's only $2.50, it's fine. I earned it by existing. Well, sure, I understand how miraculous and satisfying and important coffee is. It's practically the keystone holding America up. But what if you made it at home and brought it with you instead? Not giving it up, just shifting the method of obtainment. That could save you, when the days and the months add up, nearly $600 a year. That's a psychology class or an econ or a philosophy or whatever. That's a 3-credit class hiding in your morning brew. Or what if you gave up fast food? That's not only economical, but healthy. If you cut out a couple visits to Chipotle every week, you have an extra $20. It's not massive on its own, but when you do that weekly for a year, you have $1,040. AKA human anatomy and physiology, or any other lab science. Another way to do it would be to work and save. If you pick up 12 hours a week at a work study job, before class and between class, after class, and save that money, after 30 weeks, 2 academic semesters, you'll have $3,600. Summer can be kind of tricky to fund with financial aid, so what a lovely idea to use those saved up checks to take a couple of classes over the summer. Then you'd complete your degree all the quicker. You'd reduce your loans and your time in college. How awesome is that? Scholarships. I get this question all the time. What scholarships do you guys have? The main thing I want to really emphasize is that when you complete the FAFSA, you are applying for a lot of Great Bay Community College, New Hampshire, and federal scholarships that are available out there. So completing the FAFSA is often the first step for a lot of scholarships out there. The next thing I want to emphasize is if you go to our Great Bay Community College website and you search scholarships, there are going to be a bunch of links there that list every single scholarship we at Great Bay Community College have ever interacted with. And those are active links. You can click on those links, you can apply for those scholarships, and they are available there on the website. So check that out. Here are some scholarship strategies that came straight from our financial aid department. Their first recommendation is you go small. Everybody's going to apply and compete for those $10,000 scholarships because they're sweet, they're humongous. That's going to fund like more than half your education at Great Bay. But you and everybody's uncle is applying for those. And it doesn't hurt to add your name to the hat, but diversify. Look for the small guys. 500, 100, 50. Those are the ones that get less competition. Fewer people are applying for them, fewer people are going to get them, right? So you can be one of those people. So look small as well as big. They add up. And then go local. Check with your church, your town hall, civic leaders, community groups. I know that I got a random scholarship from my grandfather's trade union. They're out there, and you might not even know where to look for them. Just ask your family members. Another good example is Market Basket. Probably at least 3 of you sitting in the room right now have worked at Market Basket or, do right now. They offer a scholarship. Go apply for it. And then private citizens. At the bottom there, you can see our link to the scholarship page. So check those out as well. This concludes the presentation. Hopefully you learn how your academic decisions now can impact your financial obligations later. If you've been sitting through this presentation thinking, why am I going part-time? I do have time for one more class. Well, then maybe you should contact the advising center and see if that's an option for you. You can go there in person or you can email greatbayadvising@ccsnh.edu. If you have any questions, please post them in the discussion board and I'll be sure to respond as soon as I can. Thanks so much.